Today's hashtag daily debate question for at MMA Junkie Radio. After fighting to a draw with John Fitch at hashtag Bellator220, should Rory MacDonald be moving on in the welterweight Grand Prix because he's champion? Yes, it's fair. No, run it back. Can I go first?
Yeah.
Okay. I say run it back. I'm going to tell you why. Because it was pretty cool that Rory MacDonald was defending his belt along the way. And I realize they can't give him a sixth round. All right? If they could, I would prefer to see a sixth round. Like, tell the guys, just like you see in The Ultimate Fighter or whatever, hey, if this is the deal, blah, 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 this is what we're going to do. But we couldn't do that. And I hate the fact that this tournament, or Grand Prix, has been staggered for so long. But because it has been, there's a different belt at stake here. It's cool that you can win the heavyweight belt at, or not the heavyweight, sorry, the undisputed welterweight belt from the champion. It's cool, right? But when you told all them fighters, all these guys are in, and there's $1 million at stake, I think that was just as prestigious. I think the Grand Prix right there was just as prestigious. And if the winner got a shot at Rory MacDonald, hey, I would have been all about that too. The fact that Rory stepped in and is willing to do this, great. I just think there's been easier paths for other guys because, I guess they've been 5-rounders as well. But I don't know. I feel like there should be a separation. And if they called it a draw, believe it or not, I'd be willing to let this stagger on and just continue. I don't want something silly as a coin flip or penalty kicks like in soccer or anything like that. I realize that as far as fighting, we were done for that night. But if they were to ever do this again, then they either got to come out for a 3-minute sixth round and get something from the commission that says we're going to allow it, or something that reverts back to the scoring, which in this case, I don't know if they would have said, well, if there's one winning score, whoever that is continues on in the Grand Prix.
Well, that'd be John Fitch.
And I'd have no problem if they said, John, you continue in the Grand Prix, but Roy's still champ because you didn't beat him under the rules of the champion came in and this is what you fought to a draw. But I would like there to be a separation. And I realize this is a bit of a stretch, but I really feel pretty strong about this. I don't know. I don't know that just one guy gets to continue because of the fact that the champion still walks out with his belt. I mean, that Grand Prix matchup was fought to a draw.
Mm-hmm. I would say run it back, okay? But I'm also going to say I'm not that surprised as everybody else that they actually did it that way. If they told me, guess what, they're not running it back, they had to pick someone, I would probably go, oh yeah, they probably picked Rory, right? You got to take it from the champion. But it just doesn't feel right. And you have the power to make things right with this Grand Prix, so I would say do it over again. Run it back.
Man, I emotionally I agree with you guys and the points you guys are making. You know, my knee-jerk reaction, and not even knee-jerk, still now a couple days after my reaction, yes, I would love to see it run it back. But I'm going to say, instead I'm going to vote yes, although I don't really like the caveat of it's fair because I don't think it's fair. I think yes because that's the rules. Now, for example, I agree. It is a separate belt. It's prestigious enough. And then you tack on the $1 million. That's a home run point, George. But at the end of the day, they did decide to make it the same belt. And at the end of the day, just like I always reference Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard 2, that actually was one of my favorite title defenses. And that was a draw. Well, how could a draw be your favorite title defense? Because in the event of a draw, through the rules of MMA since 2001 or maybe even before that, in the event of the draw, the title will still stay with the champion. So therefore, a draw, although it not being very, attractive, is technically a defense, guys. So by that meaning, I see why Rory keeps the belt, and by that meaning, if that's technically a successful title defense, even though it does say draw on the record, it's still a successful title defense. I do agree with him moving on, but let me just throw a caveat. Even though I'm saying yes, it's fair, although I feel it's yes, them's the rules, I will say this. I didn't like what Rory MacDonald was saying in his post-fight speech, we all know. I like that he was being very honest, but he sounded even uncertain if he was going to be ready for the next step in the tournament. Yeah. So if something happens, I think it should be no question that John Fitch should get that spot.
Right, and here's the pickle, though. Wasn't Lorenz Larkin in an alternate matchup? And I know he backed out of a fight, but did they ever address that or whatever?
Good point, yes.
Like, would he be going, hold on a second, I'm in the alternate here, what's going on? Not that I would have a problem with John Fitch, because I'm obviously saying, hey, I think they should run it back. I guess, look, the fun part was the champion was in it. But the minute the champion was in it, we knew that the max they could go was 5 rounds and that the belt would stay with the champion. and I'm sure they probably did address that the Grand Prix winner would also have to abide by that. But I noticed when Scott Coker, he whispered into something that the camera caught, and he said he advances because he stays the champion. But he said it with like a little bit of uncertainty, almost like, hold on a second, what just happened here? You know what I mean? How could they fix it? I know we're done with the Daily Debate. Let me say that, and then we'll continue. So thank you to everyone that voted for the Daily Debate. It was pretty split down the middle. 55% agreed with Dan. Yes, it's fair. 45% went with Goes and I. No, run it back. So thanks to all of you for voting. That's the Daily Debate.